Hello, Kentucky. Louisville falls behind for coveted five-star Tyran Stokes as Kentucky takes control. Louisville staff certainly didn't take kindly to this news, or rather, rumors about Stokes, but for Kentucky, it's great news. One of the most talked about stories in recruiting circles is a race for Tyran Stokes, a five-star phenom, and considered the #1 player in the 2026 class. And while Louisville was seen as the almost inevitable destination for the young talent, things appear to have changed, and Kentucky is emerging as a favorite in the race. The Wildcats' rise in Stokes' recruiting process is no accident. There's a meticulousness involved, typical of Mark Pope, the coach who has demonstrated an almost uncanny ability to connect with high-caliber players. While Louisville relied on Stokes' Louisville, Kentucky native status and his family's public statements about his local connection, the Wildcats worked behind the scenes, building strong bridges. Stokes' official visit to Lexington, coupled with interactions with Pope's staff, appears to have made a lasting impression. Kentucky basketball has always been synonymous with excellence, but Pope's recent work has added an extra layer of sophistication to the program, something that may be weighing on Stokes' decision. Jamie Shaw, a respected expert on three sports/rivals, surfaced prediction that has Louisville fans on edge. While Louisville is still listed as a coaching favorite, with a 32.4% chance of securing Stokes' commitment, Shaw's prediction points to Kentucky as the likely destination for the young star. Even with confidence level just 35%, the mere mention that the Wildcats are ahead at this point is enough to generate a wave of speculation and anxiety among fans. And when it comes to recruiting, these trends could be decisive. The situation becomes even more intriguing when considering Arkansas's role as a growing threat. The Razorbacks have been persistent in their pursuit of Stokes, and his presence on the radar further complicates the situation for Louisville. However, it's impossible to ignore the fact that Kentucky, with Pope, has all the necessary ingredients to attract a player of Stokes' caliber. For Louisville, losing Stokes to Kentucky would be a devastating blow, not only because he's a homegrown talent, but also because it would represent a symbolic victory for their in-state rivals at a critical time for the program. Stokes' mother's public statement, emphasizing that they are Louisville people and don't watch Kentucky games, now sounds like a desperate attempt to keep the narrative of hometown loyalty alive. But it seems that's not going to be the case, with Stokes' mother suggesting he may announce his commitment before his senior season. The clock is ticking. Louisville needs to act quickly to turn the tide, perhaps by further exploiting its emotional connection to its hometown. Kentucky, on the other hand, seems to be navigating this with confidence, knowing that its proposal perfectly aligns with the aspirations of a player who wants to shine on the biggest stage. If Tyran Stokes does indeed choose to don Kentucky's blue and white, it will be a triumph for Mark Pope and a milestone in the program's recent history. For Louisville, it will be a moment of reflection and reevaluation, but also an opportunity to learn and grow. We'll see. Pope's arrival at Kentucky after his time at BYU brought with it the promise of renewal, and the name on fans' lips is Colin Chandler. And the two are already entering their second year with the Wildcats. Chandler, a point guard with a skill set straight out of a modern basketball playbook, is living proof that Pope knows not only how to recruit, but also how to develop talent. Initially brought by Pope to BYU, Chandler followed an unusual path. Before stepping onto the college court, he spent 2 years on a mission for his church, a break that could have slowed his trajectory. However, upon his return, he not only adapted, but also began to shine, showing that time away from the court hadn't diminished his hunger for success. His choice to follow Pope to Kentucky, becoming the coach's first high-profile acquisition in his new home, was a clear sign of mutual trust, and the results are beginning to justify that bet. At the start of his freshman season, Chandler seemed out of place. The ball in his hands carried a natural hesitation, as if the weight of the transition to college basketball was still testing him. But, like every great player, he found his moment, Injuries in the backcourt open up opportunities, and Chandler, forced into action, weathered the ordeal with resilience that surprised even the most optimistic. Starting on February 22nd, he transformed, hitting an impressive 54% of his three-pointers through the end of the regular season. Chandler not only survived the intensity of the SEC, but also began to make his mark. In the postseason, he went even further, converting 7 of 13 attempts from distance, displaying flashes of talent that can inspire Kentucky fans to dream of something big. What makes Chandler special isn't just his shooting ability. As highlighted by Brandon Ramsey at KSR, the young point guard has evolved from a solid defender into a true offensive maestro. His court vision is something to behold. With an almost instinctive ability to use his eyes to fool defenders, Chandler creates opportunities for his teammates with pinpoint passes, while his height and athleticism make him a threat on both ends of the floor. Zach Gogan, in the latest KSR film breakdown, was full of praise. He's kind of what you look for in a modern point guard. Tall, athletic, can shoot, pass, and defend. This combination of physical attributes and on-court intelligence is rare, and the fact that Chandler is already showing his potential in his first year is a testament to Pope's developmental work. Looking ahead, the question lingers: how far can Colin Chandler go? Ramsey is undeniable in his prediction. This is a future NBA player without a doubt. Whether as a lottery pick, first-round pick, or second-round pick, the consensus is that Chandler has a complete package: talent, athleticism, and a mindset that allows him to thrive under pressure. His ability to read the game, use his eyes to manipulate defenses, and position himself as a tireless defender suggests he's just scratching the surface of his potential. As a sophomore with more experience, Chandler could become the kind of player who not only leads Kentucky on the court, but also the guy everyone can count on. In a program as rich in history as Kentucky, where expectations are always sky high, Chandler's rise is a sign of exciting times ahead. With the arrival of David Gusta, one of the most anticipated transfers for the 2025 season, the defensive lineman, who left Washington State for Kentucky, was recently named one of the 100 most impactful transfers in college football by a prestigious The Athletic team. This distinction not only validates Coach Mark Stoops' strategic vision in recruiting, but also puts Gusta in the spotlight as a key piece in the rebuilding of the Wildcats' defense. Gusta arrives at Kentucky with impressive credentials: 21 tackles, 3 TFL tackles for loss, games, 1 sack, and 3 interceptions during his final season at Washington State. However, it's his physical and athletic qualities that truly draw attention. Gusta is an imposing force on the defensive line, but his difference lies in his combination of power and speed, something rare in players at his position. During training camp, he quickly earned praise for his movement and explosiveness, traits that make a difference. Mark Stoops, known for his ability to identify raw talent and mold them into key players for the team, minced no words when describing Gusta. You look at David Gusta. He's a 300 to 350-pound guy, but man, he can move. He's physically what you want, Stoops said, and very nervous, very disruptive inside. These observations were echoed by Kentucky guard Josh Braun, who highlighted Gusta's versatility. He's one of the few defensive linemen we face that requires not only speed but also power, Braun said, highlighting Gusta's ability to seamlessly transition between these two dimensions of the game. Gusta's inclusion in the top 100, compiled by Bruce Feldman, Sam Conn Jr., and Manny Navarro of The Athletic, is the result of an extensive survey of coaches and FBS officials who evaluated the players with the greatest potential for impact in the coming seasons. His 82nd ranked ranking reflects both his performance and the enthusiasm he has generated within the Kentucky program. For the Wildcats, Gusta represents more than just an addition to the defensive line. He is an example of how strategic recruiting can transform a program, bringing in key players capable of elevating the team's competitive level. However, The athletic S-list also serves as a reminder of the dynamic changes taking place in college football. While Gusta arrives to strengthen Kentucky, other names familiar to Wildcats fans are taking their talents to other conferences. Dane Key, a wide receiver who transferred to Nebraska, and Barion Brown, now at LSU, are two examples of players who left Lexington but continue to be recognized for their potential impact. Key, with his size and experience, promises to be a reliable target for young quarterback Dylan Raiola for the Huskers, while Brown, known for his raw speed and return skills, will be a valuable weapon for the Tigers. These departures, while inevitable in the current college football landscape, highlight the importance of reinforcements like Gusta. Mark Stoops and his staff's ability to attract high-level talent through the transfer portal has been instrumental in keeping Kentucky competitive. Furthermore, Gusta's presence in the top 100 demonstrates that the program remains an attractive destination for players looking to maximize their potential before advancing to the next level. Another interesting point about the athletic S-list is the number of opponents Kentucky will face in the regular season that also feature high-impact transfers. Names like Eric Singleton Jr., Georgia Tech to Auburn, Zachariah Branch, USC to Georgia, and Miller Moss, USC to Louisville, promise to make each matchup an even greater challenge. This puts Gusta and his teammates in a crucial position. They will have to not only meet expectations, but exceed them to ensure Kentucky remains competitive in an increasingly balanced conference. While Gusta is Kentucky's only addition to the list, he's not alone in generating fan excitement. Players like Kendrick Law, Shiaz Pete, and Dante Dowdell have also been mentioned as potential standouts for next season. However, Gusta's position in the top 100 reinforces the idea that he will be a central piece of the Wildcats' defensive strategy. We'll see how this plays out. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.